Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalk.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
I know that you get a couple guys that steal all the headlines from a negative standpoint. A couple guys don't do what they're supposed to do. And that's unfortunate because really 98% of your time, you got of your guys, 112, 15 guys, really had a good summer, a really good summer. But that's kind of boring, you know. That doesn't get the headlines.
Oh, come on, Dabo! For crying out loud, the media didn't do the crimes. Okay, the players did the crimes, and if they break the law and they get arrested, and it gets reported, it's not the media that's the problem here. And I'm not just saying Dabo. That's a tact of many coaches. I'm not going to say all coaches. It's blame the reporter, blame the media for the actions of the people who actually do the crime. And the fact that it's being talked about and being reported, that's the bad thing. Okay, the crime itself, that's secondary. But the fact that the mean old media is picking on Clemson and reporting about their players getting in trouble, that's your story right there, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Welcome in. Yeah. Welcome in. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network from SEC Media Days in Hoover, day 3, and day 1 of Clemson preseason yakking, as it was a golf outing up at Sunset. K-Mac went up for that, and you heard a little bit from Dabo, more from Dabo coming up. But, was he on the defensive about the 3-player situations that he had to deal with?
No, I wouldn't say he was on the defensive, but you do make a good point. It would be like DeAndre Johnson saying, think about all the girls I didn't hit at a bar. Nobody wants to talk about that. There were a lot of girls there that I didn't hit. You want to talk about the one girl that I hit in the bar. No, he didn't seem defensive. He was your typical Dabo, and he made the comment that all programs have issues. It's how you deal with those issues that defines your culture, and that's how they go about their business. And, you know, Ammon Lakeup is going to have an opportunity to return to the team because Sweeney says he was a model citizen on and off the field prior to that arrest where he was charged with DUI and cocaine possession. So he is going to have a chance to work himself back on the team. He won't be there for preseason camp, and he will miss games, plural, but how many and when he comes back, that remains to be seen.
Yeah, we'll see how well Alex Howell kicks the football and how many he shanks early on. That might have something to do with how quickly – Spence, yeah. I'm sorry. How quickly he gets back onto the team. We'll hear more from Dabo coming up in just a little bit here at Hoover. Today, Nick Saban among the coaches that came through. We'll let you hear a little bit from the Alabama head coach. Also, we'll hear from Gary Pinkel, the Missouri head football coach. Arkansas was here today. Bielema was very, very good. He's a guy that you could really like if you were a Arkansas fan. And, I mean, you know, he speaks very well, and he speaks very passionately about his football program and what he is trying to do there at Arkansas. And he is a guy that's going to do it his way. It's his way or out of the way. Mark Stoops, coach at Kentucky. We'll hear from him as well. We'll be back with Dabo.
This is the best part of the year is, I love the preparation.
Fisher DeBerry coming up at the bottom of the hour here on Sports Talk. Also, I've made my SEC predictions for the football season. Share that with you in just a little bit. I don't need any sound effects when it comes to my predictions. I do predict comments from early from Dabo Sweeney right now.
This is the best part of the year is, I love the preparation part of it. I love the grind of it. I love the structure and the continuity that we have when the season gets here. But most importantly, I love being with the players. I love being around the guys every single day and just, really building the team. So look forward to that. We got a lot to do with this year's football team in particular. Starting tomorrow, we'll get back into staff meetings, and then we start our all-in meetings as a staff next Wednesday. And we got a lot to do as a staff, but we've got a great staff. That's where it starts. Got a great group of men, great mix of really, veteran coaches and some great young guys that are a part of our staff, from our GAs all the way up. It's going to be a fun year to work every day. From a football standpoint, you got to have talent. We've got talent. I love our roster, but we've got a lot of guys that have to develop, and that's what coaching is all about. That's what the process of camp is all about. And there's always guys that surprise you, that jump out there that maybe you didn't quite expect, and then there's always some guys that maybe disappoint you a little bit. Like, really ready to go, and maybe he's just not quite ready. And the development process is different for every single one of these players. The growth and maturity is different for all of these guys. But our job as coaches is to challenge them and to motivate them and inspire them to be great. And that's what we try to do on a daily basis. But offensively, I think we have tremendous personnel. I think we're in a whole lot better spot than we were this time last year, standing here in front of you guys, as far as some answers. Last year nobody had seen Artavis play, nobody had seen Sean play, nobody had seen Almond play. We got more people in the mix in the offensive line, more guys that I think fit what we want to really be from an offensive line standpoint. And so I'm excited about what we have to work with. Excited for Tony and Jeff, and love having Streeter on board. So it's a exciting time defensively. A lot of guys that's our biggest losses on that side of the ball. Obviously, there are a bunch of guys that are in the NFL off of last year's defense. And, you can replace good players. I say that all the time. I mean, it's Sammy Watkins leaves and Artavis shows up. Taj leaves and Sean shows up. You can replace good players, but where it really gets, what I think separates the consistency of programs is not just the talent that you bring in, but the type of people that you bring in. The leadership, the commitment, the toughness, the work ethic, the guys that love the grind of it, all of that stuff. I think that's the secret sauce, and that's what we got to find out. Quite frankly, I mean, we think from a talent standpoint, we've got some answers, and replacing a Grady, a Stephon, a Robert Smith. But do those guys, will they bring the same intangibles? They're not going to have the experience factor. That's just the way it is. But will they bring those same intangibles? Will they bring that daily commitment? of a Grady, of a Stephon, of a Robert Smith, that leadership type, some of those leadership qualities. That's what we got to find out on a bunch of those young guys. But our first group defensively, I think really talented, good experience. Probably won't really notice a whole lot of difference, but the depth, the type of depth from an experience standpoint, that's going to be the difference for us. So growing guys up early is going to be key for special teams. Opinion, obviously leaving and going to the 49ers, gave us an opportunity, knowing that in December, gave us an opportunity to really transition with Teasdale and challenge him and get him some opportunities in the bowl game was big. I feel great about Andy Teasdale. I really think that he is poised to have a good couple of years. He's going to be a junior. The biggest question, obviously, is our kicker. The situation with Ammon. Ammon will hopefully have a chance to return to our team. At the earliest would be when school starts, but he will not. He'll miss some time. We'll talk more about that later because right now it's kind of on him to follow through on some things that he has to do. But so camp is all about the guys that are here, and we signed Alex Spence. We felt like he was one of the best kickers in the South and the best kicker in this state when we signed him, and we were able to redshirt him last year. He's excited about his opportunity. Christian Grooms, we're bringing in another young man from so we'll have some guys in camp competing, and we'll see what happens. But that's special teams wise. Obviously, that is the biggest question. With knowing that Ammon is out at this time. But I like our team. I like how they've worked. It's really been a good summer. It really has. I know that you get a couple of guys that steal all the headlines from a negative standpoint. You get a couple of guys that don't do what they're supposed to do. And that's unfortunate because really 98% of your time, you got of your guys, 112 out of 115 guys really had a good summer, a really good summer. But that's kind of boring, that doesn't get the headlines. It's only when somebody does something that doesn't represent your program the right way that some of that stuff gets talked about. But that's not what we're here about today. We're about the guys that show up August 3rd and represent the Tigers when we get into camp.
You've been coaching for a very long time. Coaches, without details, coaches typically know going into a year, this is a better team. This is probably not a better team. Is this a better team? Can it be a better team
than last year? Oh, I don't know about that. That's really hard to answer right now, just simply because I think we're a very talented roster. I don't think there's any question about that. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, we're lacking talent. We recruited well. But again, I mean, defensively, it's 6 D linemen, 2 linebackers. We got Robert and Gary, and I think Jenkins is still with the Jets. I think that's 11 guys from last year's defense that are on NFL roster. So they're not here. Offensively, I think we got a chance to be better. I think we are better, and I think we will be better. Defensively, we led the nation in 11 categories. So I don't know that we can do that. We'll see. But I do think we can still be one of the best defenses out there. But there's just a lot of questions that have to be answered. Is the talent there? Yes. The experience there? No. Do we have excellent coaches? Yes. Do we have the intangibles, the toughness, the work ethic? Don't know. I mean, that's what we got to go to work and find out. Is the leadership going to be there when we need it? I knew without a doubt, what we had, and it played out that way. This year, there's more questions in some of the peripheral areas. Talent, I think we're very talented, but I mean, Austin Bryant, Cleveland Ferrell, these guys never played a snap. Christian Wilkins, Albert Huggins, they've never played. We recruited well, yes, but we'll see how that transitions. Those are things you just don't know. Whereas on the flip side, you look on the offensive side, we just know a lot more. And having a bunch of guys that came in January and went through the spring, especially those 4 offensive linemen, we're just in a different spot there. So it's going to be an interesting year. I think we got a chance to if we'll live up to our potential and be committed daily, to the standard we set, we certainly have a chance to be one of those teams. Our goal is to get 15 games this year. You know, it's just real simple. We want to, we want 14, 15 games. You know, that's what we're trying to do. And that we got 12. Now we know that, and everything after that you got to go earn. And so you earn that through what you do in those 12 Saturdays, some Thursday.
You want a Lake Up situation, you lose up in Becker and battle separately. Well, that
Dabo Sweeney from earlier today at his golf outing up in Sunset. And we'll be back. More sports talk in a moment. K-Mac, anything else from your time up at Sunset with the Tigers today to share with us before we move forward?
No major news. You heard Dabo Sweeney there, and there's more Dabo, by the way, if you want it on the website. I did ask him about the battle situation, if that was strictly a family decision or if the other report that there was discipline involved, which case was it? And he gave a very long answer. He never directly answered it, but he did say it's no secret that Isaiah Battle had some problems when he was at Clemson, but he raved about what a good kid he was and how he was proud of him in hopes that he does well with the St. Louis Rams. And what's that?
Had he been stopped for marijuana possession or cited for marijuana possession, as was reported?
We didn't get that was not confirmed. And I didn't expect him to get into specific details, but he didn't. We know that something else went down there. Isaiah Battle didn't just wake up and decide to enter the SUP draft. And Sweeney said he wished that they were able to finish it out and have that final season. And Mitch Hyatt is going to be the guy at left tackle, at least going in, and did get a chance to talk to Robbie Caldwell, and that's always fun to talk to Robbie Caldwell. That's worth the price of admission, right there. But he said that that he's just a kid that goes out there and works hard, and yes, he's got some things that he's going to have to overcome in terms of the speed of the game and a physical standpoint, but they think he's going to be a big-time player for him, and he's going to have to be that sooner rather than later.
All right. Here is my prediction for the SEC season.
Speaking of marijuana and drugs, what are you doing?
I'm going to say this. The idiots on Twitter that follow us, okay? You know who I'm talking about. You're out there. You're 11,000 strong, but not all of you are idiots, okay? You know, the way some of them reacted to my predictions, you would have thought that I had gone to the State House, slapped a Confederate flag around my naked body, and ran down Main Street. I mean, I made very reasonable, well thought out selections as I normally do.
No, you didn't.
So here we go.
Okay.
In the East, I'm going to start out West. In the West, I'm picking Mississippi State.
I mean, now you can just stop. Now just stop there.
I'm not.
You are going to be – I can't wait till the results come out, Corn. You will probably one of two people – I under 5 that pick Mississippi State.
Can I finish my picks?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'd like to do this uninterrupted.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get into a flow here, okay? Yeah. I don't need your interruptions.
Your flow. Don't want to mess that up.
Alabama, 2. Oh, Alabama. You didn't pick Alabama to win the West? Oh, my God.
No, blame you there.
Ole Miss, 3. Swag Kelly, starting quarterback. He's going to light it up. He's going to light it up.
Where's Auburn?
They're 4th.
4th?
4th.
Auburn's 4th and Mississippi State's 1st.
I don't necessarily believe that Will Muschamp walks on water like a lot of people do, all right? Number is LSU. Number 6 is Texas A&M, and number 7 is Arkansas. Though Arkansas could move up ahead of Texas A&M.
Yeah, maybe.
In the East, Missouri is number 1. Tennessee is number 2. Georgia is – what's your problem, K-Mac?
Just go. I'm not interrupting your flow.
I want to hear your picks, okay?
Okay.
Number 3 is Georgia. 4, South Carolina. 5 is Florida. 6 is Kentucky. Vanderbilt is 7. Mississippi State will be your SEC champion in 2015. we are back. Sports Talk. Day 3, SEC Media Days in Hoover, Alabama. This is Wednesday, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah.
Update.
My days have just tough. You know, you go on vacation for 2 weeks and everything just, you forget even what month it is. This is July, isn't it?
It is still July.
So day 3, one more to go. 3 more teams to come in tomorrow, and we'll wrap it up. And then the ACC does its thing on Monday and Tuesday. KMAC draws the honor of going to Pinehurst to hang out with the ACC folks next week. We'll have that covered for you here on Sports Talk. Now, back to my preseason poll. So I don't think I'm far off at all. Now, anything can happen, as we all know. Injuries and poor play and surprising teams. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if South Carolina surprises in the East. I think Spurrier and company kind of feel like they're going to sneak up and surprise some people. I wouldn't be shocked if Tennessee won the East. I think Tennessee might have the best quarterback in the East. Matty Malk, for all his misgivings and his up and down play, he's only lost 4 times as a starter, and he has taken his team to back-to-back division titles. And he's not the prettiest thing out there, but he's pretty effective. And I like. He's got Hansbrough back, one of the best running backs returning in the SEC. He's got receivers. Well, he lost a pretty fair number of receivers, but he has some good ones returning. Where their concern is at Missouri's on their defensive front, because with their defensive lineman who was injured in the car accident out for the season, they pretty much lost everybody off their defensive line. But their linebackers and their secondary, those do return. All right, we'll talk more about my picks. We'll get K-Max and the pros picks on the SEC, Ray, in a little bit. But welcome into a Sports Talk. Good friend, great coach, better person. Fisher joining us once again with the Coaches for Charity event coming up shortly here in the month of July in Columbia. Coach, good evening, and how are you?
Hey, Phil, how you doing? Good to hear your voice.
Good to have you with us tonight. Where are you? Are you Oklahoma or South Carolina?
No, we're in South Carolina. We're down at the Isle of Palms and sweating like everybody else, but it's a great place to be, as you know.
If you got to sweat, you want to sweat at the Isle of Palms. I'll give you that. All right, coming up on July 30th, that's a Thursday, at the Columbia Metropolitan Convention Center, it's your annual South Carolina Coaches for Charity. It's a great event, and it's for a great cause, and you have got a tremendous lineup of coaches and other very important people set to join you on that night.
Well, we have, Phil, and this promises, I think, to be the biggest, best we've ever had, and we can't wait for the 30th. We move into the convention center because, we're about out on the other places. But Steve and Dabo are going to be there, and the other 4 coaches in the state, and it'll be a fun night. But it'll be a night, it's all about charity, and I think it'll be a night that people just see the heart and soul of our coaches that we have in this state, and how much they care about the people in this state, and how much they care about helping, and that's what it's all about. And each coach, is going to select a member from his community as nominated a person to be the community most valuable community servant of that community. And I think Steve has selected Marcus Lattimore, and Dabo, I believe, has selected Eric McLean. And I understand he's really, really done some outstanding things that, like Marcus, for young people throughout the state and in the area, in the arena of charitable giving and serving. And it's going to be great to hear from them and all the others that will be recognized by the coaches.
Well, that is fantastic. And, you and your wife, you guys have really thrown your efforts into your Fisher DeBerry Foundation. I mean, along with everything else that you might have going on in this phase of your life, you're putting a lot of time and effort into this, not just in South Carolina, but, I mean, you spread this out among many states.
No, we really do. We just had a great event out in Denver on May the 1st. We had it at Coors Field, and, boy, they really went out way out for us, and made us feel really at home there. And we had just a fantastic return on that, and everybody really had a good time. And we really are making a significant difference in the lives of a lot of young people. And right as we're speaking today, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes are having their annual football camps. They're the upstate in South Carolina, and looks like we're probably going to be able this year to have about 170 kids to go to camp. Single parent kids that probably might not would have that opportunity, and that's basically what our foundation is all about, is just giving kids opportunities to that they might not otherwise be able for having these kids around great people and learning about the skill of the game and improving their skills, but also learning a lot about leadership and character development and integrity, and making some decisions for their life, hoping that they can go back with a little different attitude in school and on the field, and have a really positive impact upon their teammates and upon their schools, and hopefully have a change in heart at a lot of schools across this country, and particularly this state.
Now, you never know how what you're doing is going to impact a youngster somewhere down the road, and hopefully in a positive way. You might touch a kid who might at that point be heading the wrong direction, and then what you're doing is going to turn him in the complete opposite direction.
Well, that's exactly the reason we do what we do, and that's what we hope will happen, and I know that will happen. I just talked with an FCA representative just a few hours ago, and he shared with me last night the person that spoke with them, Chris Shepard, is just a great dynamic Christian former athlete, pro athlete, college athlete, and the impact that he had upon the kids. And if they weren't at that camp, they wouldn't be here having these type of experiences, And so that's what we really geared up to do. And it looks like maybe over the course of the summer, we might be able to send close to 600 kids, throughout the country to FCA camps, church or lady camps, and opportunities that we'll try to reach kids, and not just on the field, but in their hearts too.
That's outstanding. And for folks who want to get more information and perhaps get to the event, it begins at 6 o'clock with a cocktail reception, and then 7 to 9 is the dinner and program. This is on the 30th at the Columbia Metropolitan Convention Center, and the website is southcarolinacoaches.com, southcarolinacoaches.com. You can go there, read all about it, and book your table and get involved in this great event. Coach DeBerry will be there. Dabo Sweeney, Steve Spurrier, Buddy Pugh, Mike Houston, Bruce Fowler, and Mike Ayers all scheduled to be there. And, of course, Eric McClain from Clemson and Marcus Lattimore from USC as well. Coach, as always, we thank you for visiting with us. Enjoy your summer break down at the Isle of Palms, and we'll see you on the 30th here in Columbia.
Well, Phil, I'm really looking forward to seeing you, and I really appreciate you having us on. And it's going to be a fun night, and we'll have people there from all over the state. But the fact that we're having it in Columbia, and we really depending on that community to really rally, and we expect to have a tremendous crowd, and certainly we're raising funds for the charity of the choice of the coach, and each one has like Phil and. Like Steve and Dabo both have their own charities and foundations, but the other coaches have situations where they really want to benefit people that need support, need help, and I know a lot of them have chosen FCA for their support, and so that's basically what we try to do, is just have a great evening, a fun evening, and they'll be talking a little football, and people will get to hobnob with the coaches, and how blessed we are to have the men that we do.
All right, Coach. Thank you so much. We'll see you there on the 30th. Fisher DeBerry with us here on Sports Talk. Be right back. right, coming up, we've got recruiting for you. We've got more from Clemson today up in the upstate. Going to hear from Tiger co-offensive coordinator Tony Elliott, and more from here at SEC Media Days. Nick Saban, we'll hear from him. Hear a little bit from Mike Stoops, and also from Gary Pinkel from Missouri. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've been waiting for. The absolute lock preseason pick of the SEC football competition. Of course, it's Mr. Know-It-All, K-Mac.
Well, I'm not going to pick Mississippi State to win the West like you did, Corn. In case
That's
anybody
your fault.
just tuning in, don't
That's
drive
your
off
fault.
the road. Corn Blue picked Mississippi State not to only win the West, but to win the entire Southeastern Conference. Mississippi State. And just for that, I'm going to go ahead and put them 7th in the West. I'm just going to throw them down
You'll
there.
be
The West,
licking my feet come this December.
Oh, wow. We'll see about that. And now that's an image that I'm not going to be able to get out of my head. I'm going to pick Auburn to win the West. I'll go Alabama 2, LSU 3, Texas A&M 4, Arkansas 5. Who did I leave out? Ole Miss 6, Mississippi State 7.
How can you put Ole Miss 6? I mean, that's ridiculous.
Says the guy who picked Mississippi State to win the Southeastern Conference. Okay, they'll probably finish. I'm sorry. Yeah, Chad Kelly is going to lead them to the promised land, I'm sure.
Yeah. I would say, look, if Chad Kelly had stayed at Clemson, who would be the starting quarterback for the Tigers this season?
If Chad Kelly stayed at Clemson, who? Deshaun Watson.
Oh, come on.
You think Chad Kelly's better than Deshaun Watson? I am serious.
We haven't had a chance.
We are going to implement
a
random drug test on Corn when he gets back. You've been on vacation for 2 weeks. I don't know what. Did you find a meth house somewhere?
I didn't say that.
You said who would be starting?
You put the words in my mouth, which I did not say. I did say, all I asked was the question, who do you think would be starting if Chad Kelly had stayed at Clemson? If Chad Kelly had stayed healthy, played the way he can play, do you not think there's a chance that Chad Kelly, this would be what, his third, fourth year at Clemson, that he might not be the guy running that offense?
Did you see Deshaun Watson last year? Did you see him play? Did you see this guy play? Yeah, he would not be ahead of him.
Corn, the guy doesn't have it from the neck up. There's something that's discouraged. When things go wrong,
I am just going to have such joy.
I want to see a guy.
This season.
I don't want to see a guy at his best. I want to see when things are going bad and he still does it. When things go bad with Chad Kelly, he explodes.
Mm-hmm.
He can't.
You put your faith in that kid.
Ole Miss has got 18 starters returning from a 9-win team last year, a team that won 5 games in the West. They had 18 starters returning. They got, if Larry Tunsil, if he's able to play, one of the best linemen in the country, one of the best receivers in the country, Laquan Treadwell, and Chad Kelly. He will be a fine quarterback in that offense at Ole Miss.
That's swag to you. Let's go out east where you pick Missouri. I'm going to pick Georgia. I'll pick Tennessee second. We finally agree on something. I'll pick Florida third, South Carolina fourth, Missouri fifth, Kentucky 6th, Vanderbilt 7th.
Wait till I tell Pollock. Wait till I tell your raise is going out the window. Yeah, you can forget about it. Learfield is not going to be happy with those comments.
About what?
Missouri? Oh, because I picked Missouri 5th?
Yeah. Man, the home office is 60 miles from Columbia, Missouri, all right? So don't you want to kind of play up to the bosses?
No.
Is that why you picked them to win it? You think that's going to get you a raise?
I picked them because my due diligence and my study tell me Missouri.
And Mississippi State's a Learfield sports property, so you thought, hey, I'm just going to get it on both ends here. And Alabama's also a Learfield sports property. Is that what you did? You just picked Learfield properties to
not commenting on the.
That's what. Now we figured out that would make more sense than picking Mississippi State to win the Southeastern Conference. By the way, I will pick Auburn to win the overall SEC championship.
Interesting.
All right, Pro, who you got?
I'm working from the bottom up. The East, Vanderbilt 7th, Kentucky 6th, and I too I'm gonna. It's a toss up with me, Missouri or Florida. at 5. And I'm going to pick Missouri because I think their defensive line is what kept them in games. So that's that. I think they're 5th. I'm going to pick Florida, 4th, South Carolina, 3rd, Tennessee, 2nd, and I'm going to pick Georgia to win. In the West, I've got Auburn at number 1. LSU rebounds. Arkansas 3rd. Ole Miss, I think, is 4th. Texas A&M 5th. They'll go back Alabama under LSU. Then Texas A&M, Mississippi State, and Ole Miss at the bottom.
Oh,
Okay, it is time to give you the recruiting report for this Wednesday night. Fort Dorchester offensive lineman John Simpson went to Florida in April, Alabama in May, Clemson in June. So far this month, no visits, but Friday he's going to Tennessee. Not going to go to Clemson for their cookout. The following Friday, he plans to be at USC for the Gamecocks pool party. Those visits are part of Simpson's due diligence with the schools he's most interested in, LSU and Georgia, the 2 other schools he wants to see this summer. Since the Clemson visit, which was for a 3-day camp, he's had the Tigers at the top of the list, but he is reserving a final decision until after he visits all the schools. Clemson, Alabama, USC have been his top 3 in that order. Clemson offered defensive back Tony Butler, 6'2", 195, of Lakewood, Ohio, yesterday. He had been a Pitt commitment. Pitt refused to agree to allow him to take other official visits, so he said, screw you, I decommit, and he opened it back up. He's never been to Clemson, but he does plan to take an official visit to see the Tigers this fall. He's been to Ohio State and Michigan. He's going back to Ann Arbor. In fact, he's there today. Strongest interest right now is from Clemson, Michigan, Rutgers, Minnesota, and Arizona State. No favorite. He said coaches like his size and the fact that at his size he can play corner, and that's what makes him unique and stands out. Tigers also offered USC commitment defensive back J.J. Givens of Mechanicsville, Virginia. He committed to USC at the Showcase camp in June, And he said at that time he was shutting down his recruiting. But now he has a Clemson offer, and he might take a visit to Clemson. 2017 receiver Nico Collins of Pinson, Alabama, told AL.com he has a top 5 of Clemson, Auburn, Alabama, Georgia, and Ole Miss. Offensive lineman Ashton Julius out of West Florence High School a few years ago, but he's been up at Lackawanna Junior College in Pennsylvania. This will be his 3rd year. He redshirted his first year, started at offensive tackle last year. He was at USC unofficially yesterday. The Gamecocks offered him. He is considering returning to USC for their pool party next week. He has also been to Baylor and NC State, and he'll visit Oklahoma during the season. Illinois, Iowa State, West Virginia. Those are some other offers. No real favorite, though he did say the offer from South Carolina, being the home team, is a little bit of something extra special for him. He'll graduate in December. Also visiting USC yesterday was quarterback in the 2017 class, Alex Spinell of Glen Allen, Virginia. Union County receiver Roscoe Johnson committed to North Carolina today. Defensive end Robert Beal Jr., 2017 class, lists Florida State, Georgia, Notre Dame, and Clemson as his top 4. In basketball, USC offered 6'3" David Beatty of Philadelphia. He's in the 2017 class. That's recruiting. We'll be back.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
We are back at Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Phil Kornbluth in Hoover, Alabama, SEC Media Days, winding to a close with one more day to go. 3 more teams to come through tomorrow. Georgia Bulldogs will be here. Ole Miss will be here tomorrow. And to round things out on the agenda, we're going to have the LSU Tigers. So a good lineup tomorrow. Georgia, Ole Miss, and LSU all with us tomorrow here in Hoover. Let's jump to the phone lines. Haven't even given the number. 800-956-7266 is our phone number. And we go down to the Port City where we welcome in the de facto mayor of the city of Charleston, the bad boy by the bay, the ninja of the night, the pontiff of the Port City, the queen of the cowboy crybabies, and the man who changes Des Bryant's diaper every night. It's not Jim Rome. He's doing a lousy show on Showtime. It's J. Rome. How you like that contract? How much money can you squeeze out of Jerry Jones' tight face?
Hey, how much money can you squeeze out of Mike McCarthy's belly?
You know what? A bit. Of course, he's lost some of that belly the last couple of years. He went on a diet. I think he gained some of it back. But what can we do for you, J. Rome? What can we do for you? Let's make it pertinent and let's make it fast.
I just need to make a smart request to the panel, especially to one certain person. In the future, if you're going to do an interview and you're amongst the other interviewers with Coach Sprayer, could you please not stand so close to him? Because you make him nervous. That's just a personal opinion of mine, okay?
Do you think he feels intimidated by my presence?
I'm not talking about any special person. Well, you think I don't know you when I see you?
Say that one more time. Say it again.
You think I don't know you when I see you?
Yeah, well, I mean, you should. We've known each other for nearly 30 years over the radio.
Oh, by the way, nice comb over.
That's not a comb over. You're talking about mine or his?
He's got more hair than you. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but I mean, come on. How much of his is really his?
Hey, as close as you were standing to him, didn't you notice that, Phil?
Well, I mean, it's my job to get as close to the subject that we're interviewing as possible, to deliver to you and the audience the best quality audio that we can bring. And I've always prided myself on getting as close to the person as possible. I like to have their lips kissing my microphone.
Wow.
Well, I mean, that's, you want it right there.
And it shades.
Some people don't like it. Some people can't handle it.
A lot of people don't like it, actually.
Well, I really don't care what the TV people like or don't like. I'm there to do a job, K-Mac, and no one is getting in my way of doing my job. Back in a moment.
Had an opportunity to get away a little bit, spend some time with the runs out there first.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
The week is the one that runs out there first.
All right, Clemson co-offensive coordinator Tony Elliott coming up in a moment. I want to mention a couple of things to you. First of all, the website, sportstalksc.com. Make sure you check it out. Absolutely loaded with great stuff from here and KMAC stuff from up at Clemson. Our poll question is about the media voting for the SEC East and where South Carolina will fall. And to this point, nearly 300 voters in, and 44% are saying 7th. 44% of the respondents are saying South Carolina finished last in the East. Are you nuts? Are you people like on some kind of, I don't know, something from Pluto that spaceship brought back? 23% are saying 4th. That's a little more reasonable. 15, almost 16% say 5th place. 3 people voted the Gamecocks first. Came out 3 times?
No, did not. You can only vote once in the poll.
That's right. That's right. That's the rundown on that. If you haven't voted, go to it, but also check out the website. Always good stuff, stories, interviews, recruiting, and more. SportsTalkSC.com. On Twitter at SportsTalkSC. You can follow us there with our news notes and other information. All right, a couple of other things I want to pass along before we hear from Coach Elliott. Will Muschamp, details of his contract came out today. He's guaranteed $5.1 million if he stays at Auburn through December 5th of 2015, the date of the SEC championship game. AL.com received details of the contract through an open records request. He owes Auburn $1 million buyout if he leaves before December 5th. If he leaves after that, he can leave at no cost to him. So no buyout if he stays until after the SEC championship game. That, my friends, is a sweet deal. Plus, he's still owed $6.3 million from Florida over the next 3 years. So he's well taken care of. Speaking of well taken care of, Michigan and Nike have reached agreement on a new all-sports apparel contract worth $169 million. That's a record. Through 2027, Michigan receives $80.2 million in apparel over the life of the deal and $76.8 million in cash. Unbelievable. USC track and field coach Curtis Fry has been named to the Team USA men's coaching staff for the 2016 Olympic Games in Rio de Janeiro. Rio de Janeiro. He'll serve as an assistant overseeing the sprint and hurdle events. And former Clemson basketball coach Larry Shyatt, head coach at Wyoming, received a new contract there today. Took his team to the NCAA tournament last season. His new deal runs through 2020. Apparently, he was toying with an NBA assistant coaching job, I would imagine, with Billy Donovan in Oklahoma City. But he's going to stay at Wyoming. All right. Clemson football today. Tigers coaches meeting with the media before playing some golf. Some of them played golf. Some just sat around and talked to reporters. Some went back home after the interview sessions were over. K-Mac, you were up there and had a chance to talk with Tony Elliott.
Tony Elliott, the co-offensive coordinator, the sole play caller who has had a chance to recharge his batteries and is now ready to get back to work.
Had an opportunity to get away a little bit, spend some time with the family. And I tell you what, man, waking up every day with a 2-year-old is a blessing. And really having time to focus on him and my wife and spend time with them, because we know the nature of the business. When we crank up here, essentially tomorrow, it's full speed until after the next time we get a break is after signing day, so that was really, really good. But then I also had some time to kind of get away and formulate some thought on the new opportunity I have, how to coordinate it with Jeff and everybody else, and then looked at some things in some areas where we needed some improvement from a planning standpoint. So it's been a really productive and good summer for me.
How important was the bowl game just to kind of get a taste of what preparing for a game, calling plays, so you kind of have an idea of that going into the season?
It was huge. It was huge because then now everybody has an idea of what they would do until they sit in that seat. So when you sit in that seat, it's like, whoa, I really got to do this. And so you gain another level of respect for Chad and anybody that's called an offense because of the enormous amount of preparation that you have to put into it. So that was huge for Jeff and myself, and it gave us an opportunity to kind of see. We had a little bit of extended time, so we didn't have to rush, but then it kind of also gave us an opportunity to critique and then also say, hey, look, this is what we're going to have to streamline as we go into a week by week preparation throughout the course of the season.
This offense, with you running it and Coach Scott running it, do you expect fans to say, okay, I see a different stamp on there as the goal for it just to be the same? You're picking up the torch where Chad left it.
The base offense is what Chad taught both of us. And then again, anything that wrinkle wise, you got to take into consideration your personnel, some of the things. And so some people may have said that they saw some different things in the bowl game, but that was more just things that we haven't done as much, that we did a little bit more consistent in the bowl game, and then also trying to maximize our personnel, and we had some injuries that we had to overcome at the bowl game, but not set out to go out and say that this is Jeff or Tony's stamp on it. No, we want to make it about the Clemson offense, take the base that Chad left us, expand where there's opportunities to expand, cut where there's opportunities to cut so that we're most efficient so that we can put the young men in a position to be successful. So that's really the focus, and I'll let everybody else determine, if they see something different at Jeff and I are doing.
You have one of the most dynamic quarterbacks, playmakers in college football. The one thing that set him back last year was injuries. When you're going forward this season, is there anything in your mind where you say we need to think about his health when we're calling run plays or designed runs, et cetera?
I think you look at him and Taj, structurally they're built different. So when you do have your quarterback design runs, you may take that into consideration. But to me, what makes Deshaun special is just his ability to run, his ability to extend plays, and just that mentality of living on the edge and not being afraid to extend plays. And so if you start trying to take away too much, then I think you're going to limit him, and you have a chance to take away what makes him special. So obviously we got to be smart in some things that we're doing. We got to make sure that they fit kind of what his skill set is. But in terms of saying, well, we can't run the quarterback, that's not going to be our mindset going in. We got in college football is a game where if you can run the quarterback, then you gain that 11th offensive player, which really makes it tough on defenses.
A lot of playmakers on the outside, of course, Mike Williams, Artavis Scott, who really burst onto the scene last year. You have some incoming freshmen that I know you're excited to get your hands on. A lot of possibilities there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, we were looking at the depth chart earlier today and all day yesterday, and we got a lot of depth at all the skill positions. Now they got to go out and perform, and we have to put them in positions to be able to perform and be successful. So excited about that. I like the fact that we got a lot of depth, and that's going to challenge the guys to be more consistent in their playmaking because they know they got guys behind them that can make plays as well if they don't take advantage of their opportunities. So it's an exciting time. It's a lot of depth at all the positions. Really excited to get the tight end depth back in order with the guys coming back off of injury. So, and then we got a lot of depth on the offensive line. We got some youth that has to be developed, but we got a lot of quality depth at all positions offensively. So it's exciting. And again, you got to have some breaks along the way. Guys got to stay healthy. But I'm excited about the depth all the way across the board.
The same Clemson speed tempo in terms of number of plays, snaps.
Definitely, we definitely want to play fast, play aggressive, and dictate the pace of the game. Try to extend the game to a fifth quarter by driving your snap count up. So you're going to see a lot of the same thing, just playing fast and really trying to stress the defense to cover the field from sideline to sideline and then goal line to goal line.
Okay, that's Tony Elliott, Clemson co-offensive coordinator. K-Mac, you got to look at the preseason depth chart that they handed out, and I guess Mitch Hyatt, notable change there on the offensive side at left tackle. Anything else really jump out at you off the depth chart?
Yeah, no, it didn't. I don't have it in front of me. I think I left it at my desk outside of the studio. Lakeup is still listed number 1 on the depth chart at the place kicker spot, which lets you know that he's not too deep in the doghouse there.
Yeah, how could they leave him on the depth chart? I mean, seriously, he's suspended from the team and from school. He's not even in school right now. That's interesting. Maybe it was just an oversight. Maybe you can answer that when we come back, K-Mac. All right, so as far as the Clemson depth chart goes, came back. We talked about the left tackle spot. We talked about Lacob still being on the depth chart, even though he's suspended. I mean, that just had to be an oversight, right? You can't just have a guy on your depth chart who's suspended.
I don't know. Isaiah Battle is not on that depth chart. Okundeku's not on that depth chart. Ebenezer Okundeku, who was
– Is Chad Kelly still on the depth chart?
Chad Kelly is not on the depth chart.
Yeah, to you it still is. And boy, he would have been a great one too if he just stayed on that
chart.
I just think
it doesn't make any sense to me. I guess that didn't come up in the conversation with Dabo either.
No, we asked him about
I am going to
Lacob.
have to go to that thing to ask the questions.
Well, we know the question came up. Obviously, he's not number one on the depth chart. He's not going to be there for preseason.
Well, he is number one on the depth chart. On the written depth chart, he's
not going to be the starting kicker on opening day. I'll tell you that. Okay, when Clemson plays Wofford on September 5th, there will not be Ammon Lacob or Ammon Lacob will not be on the field kicking. I guarantee it.
No, listen. I believe you. It's interesting that he's still on the depth chart. How about on the defensive side? As I noticed, there was no blanks on there.
Yeah, he's fallen way off the depth chart. So, how much stock do you put in these preseason depth charts?
None.
Most coaches will tell you the battles are going to be happening here in August to see who wins the job. But again, you look at that offensive side, you look at that offensive line, so many young guys and inexperienced guys. Now, getting Guillermo back is going to help give them a little more depth and experience there on the interior part of their line. And the tackle spot, the left tackle spot, especially with Mitch Hyatt, if he's going to hold on to that, McLean could slide out there perhaps and play left tackle from the inside spot where he's at left guard right now. There are a lot of questions, and even Sweeney, who's always optimistic and is still optimistic, he said and admitted there are a lot of questions that are going to have to get answered with this team.
Yeah, listening to his comments, it left me thinking, there's more questions about this team than maybe we had thought about coming out of the spring. What did they say about Guillermo? Is he completely cleared by the school, and is he cleared from whatever it was that forced him to leave school to join the football team?
Whatever was going on, a lot of they did the specifics, but he is working himself back and getting reacclimated with his teammates. A lot of the young guys, as Coach Caldwell was telling us, they didn't even know who this guy was. Guys that have been around for a year. Oh, you've been around? But they think could perhaps help them out in terms of some depth on the inside part of that line.
That's the strangest. That's one of the strangest stories I've ever seen in local college sports. I mean, here's a guy that was a player, mysteriously ups and leaves the team. No reason given. He wasn't dismissed from the team.
I think he was burnout, Corn. It might have been burnout. A student.
But nobody has ever given a reason of any sort, health, mental, physical, academic. There's been no reason given for what he did.
It's going to be a challenge for our team to success long term.
SportsTalk South Carolina Radio Network from Hoover and from Columbia. Nick Saban coming up in a moment. Dabo Swinney talking with reporters this afternoon. You'd already left, K-Mac, because he did a session with the writers late this afternoon. Will Vandervoort, Tiger Insider, he writes that Swinney just told him, this was a little while ago, quote, "I hope I never have a guy hit a girl. If he did, he will not be here." End of the quote. Well, I mean, I hate to mention, but former Tiger DeAndre McDaniel, who's on the staff, has a record of abuse of a woman. He was arrested for it. So I don't know how he reconciles that with his statement. How do you make a statement like that?
Here's one thing, and again, I can't speak for Dabo Swinney, only he could answer that question, but McDaniel that happened when he was a player at Clemson. Tommy Bowden was the head coach when that happened. It didn't happen under Dabo's watch. It didn't happen since McDaniel has been on the staff, and that would be a mistake. Now, if a guy makes a mistake, he does have the record, a horrible mistake, an inexcusable mistake, but a mistake nonetheless. Does he not deserve to ever work again? Does he not deserve to return? I could see how, like, this DeAndre Johnson's kicked off the Florida State football team, but I think he does deserve a chance to rehabilitate his life. He shouldn't be shut out everywhere and say you can never play football again. He should have to go somewhere else and start over and pay for that mistake. So I'm not saying that condoning anything, but I do think that you deserve a chance to come back. And I will say this, DeAndre McDaniel is a very, very smart football mind. The guy knows the game, following along as he commentated on football for a while just on social media, where he's no longer there. I don't think he was very good at breaking down football games and watching NFL and college games. So he's an addition to the staff, and I think he has rehabilitated his life from that one transgression, which I don't think defines him.
I like how you're willing to give second chances. So, I mean, apparently Okendeko is not worthy of a second chance.
He's going to get a second chance somewhere.
At Clemson,
you're not entitled to a second
chance at Clemson.
You're not.
His infraction happened while he was at Clemson.
That was Tommy
Now
Bowden's
he's back
decision.
at Clemson.
Some coaches do that. Some coaches do that.
Just one
doesn't make
the
it
second
right.
chance rule. Just going by the second chance rule here.
You understand the difference between a second chance and a second chance at the exact same place, right? You get that a little bit. It's a little different. You're mincing things a little bit. You can get a second chance and still pay for your first mistake.
DeAndre's getting a second chance at the same place, is he not? Yes or no?
Not as a play. It's not a second chance. He got a second chance at Clemson. He finished his career there. Graduated. So
he's getting
he already
a second
had that
chance as a person. He's getting a second chance as a
and he's
human
making
being.
the most of it. Right?
Yeah, and congratulations.
Tommy Bowden gave him the second chance, not Dabo Swinney.
I'm all for second chances. I'm all for second chances.
But Dabo Swinney,
don't get me wrong.
But I think it depends on the circumstances. Everybody usually gets a second chance unless you end up in prison or dead, right? Most people do get a chance to rehabilitate their lives.
I believe people get more than second chances.
Yeah, some guys get third and fourth chances. But McDaniel, he got his second chance from Tommy Bowden. He finished out his career at Clemson. He graduated. He had a cup of coffee trying to make it in the NFL, and now he's an assistant coach. Nothing else has happened since then. He hasn't been a serial offender, and he's back. So he already had that second chance. He's still on his second chance and making the most of it. Dabo Swinney didn't give him another chance. Tommy Bowden did. So,
and I guess Lakip will get a second chance.
Sounds like Lakip is going to get a second chance. Yes.
Okay. All right. Nick Saban was here today. One thing he talked about in some of his comments was about players doing the right thing and coaches making sure the players do the right things and making that right decision. And when having the opportunity to make a decision, turning away and not making that bad decision. That's something he preaches to his players about. And he's had a little bit of an issue. You know, he took on a player who had an abuse case against him that transferred from Georgia. Then he goes to Alabama, and he has another problem, and they quickly just on a no-tolerance stance with this player, and he dismissed him as soon as he had the problem in Alabama. But on to football. You know, Alabama, they got some work on the offensive side in terms of rebuilding. They've only got 2 starters back on their offense. So it's in rebuilding mode to some degree on the offensive side. Here is Nick Saban.
It's going to be a challenge for our team to reestablish the identity that we would like to play with. We want to be more physical, tougher on the line of scrimmage, be relentless in the way that we compete so that we're never affected by what happens in a game, that we can keep playing at a high level on a consistent basis, and that we take care of the ball and do the kind of things to execute with consistency that's going to give our team the best chance to have success. These are things that we need to improve on. We did not finish the season the way we wanted to last year in terms of the way we played. And some of these things, we turned the ball over a lot at the end of the season. We gave up too many explosive plays on defense. We gave up too many points because of a combination of all those things. So we need to improve, you know, in all those areas. So this year's team has its challenges like all teams do. You know, in college football, you probably lose 25% of your team every year, which is what makes it great, makes it fun to rebuild. But this year, especially on offense, we're going to have a lot of new faces. And we have some talented players. They don't have a lot of experience. So how rapidly they develop is going to be a key to how well we come together on offense. And I know you're anxious to ask me about the quarterback situation, but that's going to be one of the keys to the drill in terms of somebody taking the bull by the horns at that position, being assertive, playing with confidence, distributing the ball and executing in a positive way, being a good decision maker, and showing leadership at the same time. And we do not have an experienced player at that position. We did not have one last year. Blake Sims did a fantastic job. So we need somebody to take the bull by the horns this year and be that kind of player for at that position. And I think we have several guys that are capable of it. I don't think anybody's come to the forefront as of yet. And I don't think it's something that we can force to happen. I think we got to let it happen. And I cannot give you a timetable of when that's going to happen. So defensively, we have a lot more experience, a lot more veteran returning players. We're going to have a very, very good front seven. And I think it's important that the secondary does not give up the kind of explosive plays we gave up at the end of the season last year. And I think it's also important that if we're going to be a no-huddle team like we were last year, I think we have to manage the season better with our team, because I think at the end of the season last year, we ran out of gas a little bit. We played more plays, I think, by 170 on defense, which is like three more games. And, you know, our players showed it. So we're going to have to do a better job of keeping our team where they need to be so that we can finish strong. You know, we have some outstanding specialists on our team. We have a great punter. I think a good field goal kicker who seems to be healthy again. And because we have good team speed and some pretty good depth, especially on defense. It should contribute in a positive way to being very, very strong on special teams. So even though this team has its challenges, it also has a lot of very good returning players that can provide leadership and example for a lot of other young players so that we can have a very competitive team. As always, our schedule is going to be, as I think everyone's schedule in our league is, very, very difficult. We're going to play a number of teams in our division that are outstanding teams, and we're going to play several teams from the East that are outstanding teams. So I think in our league, you have to look at it like there are always going to be 7 or 8 teams that can beat you. So it's important that you build a team that looks at every game as the challenge and plays to a high level on a consistent basis. So that gives you the best opportunity to have success long term.
And we'll be right back. More Sports Talk. Back on Sports Talk, SEC Media Days 2015, day 3 in the books. Wrap things up tomorrow with 3 good headliners. Mark Richt always, I am a Mark Richt fan, okay? I know he's got his critics out there. All coaches do. His fans, some fans don't like him. I like Mark Richt, and looking forward to listening to him tomorrow. LSU will be here. Les Miles will be here looking to see who's got the chest to play for the Tigers.
Got to have the chest. For me.
And also we'll have Ole Miss here tomorrow. So three really good coaches and headlining programs to wrap things up tomorrow, SEC Media Days. Then the ACC next week. K-Mac will be there for that. Look forward to covering that on Sports Talk. Mark Stoops was here from Kentucky today. Kentucky and South Carolina, they play early this year. They play the second week of the season. It'll be the SEC opener for both teams. I got 3 words for Gamecock fans. Joe Kemp. He is back at Kentucky. And I'm sure, as you heard my interview with Sky Moore yesterday, the Gamecock defenders, they have long memories, and they hope to get past North Carolina in good shape, win that game, and then focus, I'm sure, on payback for Kentucky. But Stoops thinks that they're making progress. They won 3 more games last year than they did in his first season. He hopes to build on that, and he talked about the progress being made.
Clearly, there's progress being made at Kentucky, both in facilities and with our football team. We need to continue to work hard. I'm proud of our staff. They've worked hard at recruiting quality players and very good people. We need to continue to do that, and we need to continue to develop the players that we have on those on our campus. Our coaching staff, very pleased with our coaching staff. We've been able to keep the nucleus of our coaches intact. We had 1 change offensively and 1 change defensively. Offensively, Shannon Dawson has come in to be the offensive coordinator. Previously, the offensive coordinator at West Virginia. Very excited about him. I feel like we made great progress in 15 practices in the spring. I really love his mentality, the way he coaches offense. I think very creative and have a tough mentality and try to be balanced and run the football and also get the ball down the field. I also like the way our players respond to him. They like playing for him, and they're very excited about what we're going to do. Defensively, we had 1 change with the addition of Andy Boo. I was very thorough and took a long time. I needed the right fit for that position. As you know, in the SEC and throughout college football, offense is getting more and more difficult to defend. So I really changed some things up, split up our secondary, hired another guy up front, and also needed a big picture guy just to help with that process. Talking about the defense, really looking forward to this year and this key to replace. But overall, our unit, I feel very good about. Very appreciative of the work DJ Elliott has done, our defensive coordinator, and all of our defensive coaches of really working hard, making this transition that we've done over the past couple years. We've always been a 4-3 team. I've always had a 4-3 background. And really just with the players we had and the versatility and all the different offenses, really wanted to make that transition to a 3-4. And I think DJ's done a great job of working through that with myself and the rest of the defensive coaches, and really feel like we have a very good, strong identity on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively, of who we want to be and where we want to go. So again, optimistic, excited. Year 3, we should be better. We are better. I think one of the big things that stands out to me is just the unity of our football team. They're all in together. They've worked hard throughout winter conditioning. They've worked hard this summer. They're anxious, and the more work you put in, the more talent you have, the more confident you can be. We know we still have a long way to go. That's why we have a bunch of practices to go. We have some newcomers coming in, and feel very good about the progress of our football team.
16 starters return for Kentucky, and their top running backs return. Boo Williams and JoJo Kemp, they're both back. Quarterback Tolles is back. They got the young freshman redshirt, the kid that South Carolina recruited, but he ended up staying home in Kentucky, Barker. He'll be waiting in the wings. But they're not going to beat South Carolina in week 2. Not this time, not in Columbia, not with the Gamecocks fired up and ready for revenge. Don't see it happening. All right, we'll be back in a moment. All right, coming up on the end of another wonderful night of Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Let's go up to Easley. And George, good to have you with us tonight. Welcome into Sports Talk.
Yes, sir. My question is the kid that was the punter that was charged with cocaine possession and also a DUI, whether it's a felony or a misdemeanor, I can't for the life of me understand why he is still on that squad. This is cocaine. This is the stuff that the Mexican drug lord has just been, who's made $1 billion, the guy from Colombia. This is cocaine. You've got to go. I just don't understand why it's not a big deal.
Yeah. Well, we don't know all the facts, number one. Now, here's my question to you guys. I mean, the word cocaine should send chills up and down everybody's spine. It always does when it comes up in an arrest situation. But, I mean, as a coach, do you look at the amount? If it's a very teeny small amount and you just sort of say, well, you know, it's a very teeny small amount, we're going to let it slide this time? Or does
where did the rest of it go? Well, Coach,
what would
Dwayne Coleman
any
say?
amount of cocaine, should that lead to an immediate dismissal from the team? Any amount?
Schools have their drug policy in place, and cocaine is listed in that, and that's another part of this that is going to come into play in terms of how many games Lake misses. But Sweeney keeps getting back to the fact that this kid had no other issues on or off the field at Clemson. And he said that for that reason, he's more inclined to give him a second chance. And he said there's other guys. He didn't mention any names, but you can connect the dots. There were other guys that repeatedly were messing up, having issues, and finally they hit the final straw. And I think if you wanted to connect those dots, if you need help, Okundeku and Battle. Those are the guys that they finally hit the last straw, and they were gone.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see what the facts are in that case before we can make an absolute opinion determination. But like he said, I mean, we're all for second chances. And, I mean, I can agree. If a guy's been a good soldier and a good citizen and he messes up one time and it's he didn't hurt anybody else. He only hurt himself. Now, he could have hurt somebody else driving DUI. He's very lucky, but this was a personal thing, so there was nobody else involved. So, I'm certainly one that would say give him a second chance if this isn't a situation of a bad drug habit or alcohol habit. Former Tiger basketball player Rod Hall is going to play a year of football. The rules allow him to do this, even though he played 4 years of basketball. He can play a year of football. He's going to play at Northern Iowa FCS team. This was reported by the Clemson Insider today. Rod Hall's going to be a wide receiver. He was a very good football player coming out of Augusta as well. Sometimes he played basketball like he was a football. So he'll get his chance at Northern Iowa. Final thoughts, guys?
I will see you guys a week from Monday.
Oh, have a good vacation, bro.
Where are you going?
He's not telling. Undisclosed location. He's going to hang out with Tupac and Elvis.
Keep your cell phone with you so we can call you. All right. Have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow.